family members that um, they are perceiving that we keep distance, and because of this they feel some offense. And in the light that what you once mentioned about Rupa Goswami, that even unintentional offense can have effect on our sadhana, bhajan, in a negative effect. So how can we um, reconcile this, find the right balance?
Yeah,
Because there is definitely some offense.
it's not that we become devotees and then we should be happy because some people don't appreciate devotees, they make some offense, and they're just going to suffer because of that, and that should bring us some pleasure or something. Obviously not. That's a terrible thing. So how do we reconcile that? We need to become mature persons. We need to learn to be able to play their game. Because really, as someone who's not a devotee, someone who's not interested in bhakti, unless they're a very, very rare person, they're shallow. And so their social interactions are also shallow. They just want to give you a hug and say, I love you, and this and that. And it's a kind of game with so many friends. Most friendship in this world is just a kind of game. So if we learn the social art of playing that game, then we can smile with them very big and, oh, it's so nice to see you. I remember one godbrother that who I would avoid him because he was very obnoxious. And he was always wanting to preach to me to go to this particular sadhu outside of ISKCON that he'd gone to and things. And so it was a little awkward. But when I would see him, he would never get any inclination like that. When I would see him, hey, how you doing? I would give him a big hug and I would beat on him and where's the pizza and this and that. And I'd just joke with him and hug him and love him. And then after about 1 or 2 minutes of that, I'd kind of look at my watch and say, I got to go. Please excuse me. But he feels really happy then. Huh? So we need to learn the art of social interaction. One thing that I find that works with a lot of people is just bringing them gifts, especially bringing them prasadam or going and cooking for them. After I joined the temple in 1982, my family, especially my father, that side of the family, they're born again Christians. And they really were not happy that I moved in with the Hare Krishnas. So sometimes we were traveling a lot in a van as a brahmachari, distributing books. And sometimes we would go to visit them. There was no temple nearby or anything like that. And we would cook a big feast with paneer and puris and halava and all kinds of nice things. And with so much love, we'd give them this big feast and they really appreciated it. So, and actually, on another occasion, my father later told me, he said he's a fanatical Christian. It's one of the last conversations I had with him. He said, "You're my most spiritual of my sons. My other brothers were not, their behavior wasn't so good." But he was appreciating that. So if we become mature, it doesn't mean that we have to go and live with them. Doesn't mean we have to eat their nonsense food, drink their nonsense liquor or something. But we can, if we learn the social art. Some of them, of course, some of them are so bad that they're going to insist that you eat some nonsense thing or drink some nonsense thing. That's a very unfortunate kind of person. But then even those persons, we just stay away from them. But once in a while, we go to visit them. Hey, I was nearby. I was thinking about you, and I just wanted to bring you a little present or something and give them some little something. And it doesn't have to be Krishna conscious. Don't give them Krishna conscious things all the time. And they take that in the wrong way. You can give them, I know you collect records, and I found this old Beatles record. And here you go with this, oh my God. And they'll love you for that. And then they'll appreciate, oh, the Hare Krishnas are not all bad. It's a kind of subtle way to preach. That's my humble thought, Orsi. Is that helpful? Okay. Are you going to be
Yes.
there in check also?
Yes, of course. If Krishna allows,
You have to be nice to Bhakti Prabina, okay?
of course. My bhakti depends on her.
She's a very saintly person. Okay, anybody else with anything? Leela Purushottam, you had your hand up a minute ago. Do you have something?
Yes, yes, Hare Krishna. They'll be staying in the room together, so they have to be nice to each
Oh my gosh. So if we hear some screams or loud smashing sounds or something, we should run and save one of them, huh?
Yeah, and we almost lost Bhakti Pravina, so we have to be careful to not scare her out. We be nice to her.
We were just talking about Narayani Mataji today and Krishna Chaitanya. Both of them are such a wonderful association. But Narayani for me is just some of the best association in the world. They're really looking for devotees here in Riga in Latvia to come and they're asking us if we could regularly come, and I don't know, but actually Leela Purushottam, you could come here some. Would you like to do that?
When you're there, okay.
It's not that much farther than Lithuania. Another 3 hours or something. There's some distance,
Yeah,
but
it's not that far.
nice devotees, very, very artistic and thoughtful.
I,
Anyway,
I
go ahead.
have to say, from the temple room, I really liked Srila Prabhupada in the company with Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati and Bhaktivinoda Thakur. I was
Yeah,
so
that's
happy.
really cool. I also appreciate it. And I'm always happy when I see Gorni Tai with no peacock feather. Our Gorni Tai in the Sangha, he never wears a peacock feather. I'm happy about that too.
Okay. Well, I had a thought that we are sometimes like so much concerned about avoiding the association of materialist people or atheists or like that, even in the form of our relatives and friends and like that, and which is good. Like we have a guidelines for that, and then you also talk about it, like defining for us what really association is, and especially this point brought me to the like to look on it from the other side. Like when we have the sadhu sangha, when we have the satsanga, are we just shallow people, doing something mechanically and not really being involved with our heart in that sangha, or do we really get the proper mood and result of that sadhu sangha? You can have the so-called sadhu sangha and and being discussing Prajalpa and all the nonsense and doing Vaishnava aparadha, pointing at certain devotees, so they are this bad and so bad, and considering it sadhu sangha, or just being mechanical. We know devotees in our movement who've been decades in the movement, never asking a question their spiritual master. Like that. So that was my thought. Like okay, if we would more concerned being more concerned about having a quality sadhu sangha, like really using it properly with the service attitude, with pariprashna, sevaya, then naturally we would much easier gain the maturity to navigate regarding the asatanga, because it would be natural for us. We wouldn't have anything really to share with the asatanga, and that would protect us.
The last few days here in Riga, we've been giving Bhagavatam classes from the 18th chapter, the 10th canto, the pastime of Pralambasura. And yesterday, we were giving a class, one sentence purport, speaking about how Pralambasura carried Balaram away. And we gave a whole discussion about that, about how Balaram is the Adi Guru. And Pralambasura, our acharyas in their commentaries to that verse, they say that Pralambasura was nervous about Krishna. He wanted to avoid Krishna, but he felt comfortable with Balaram. And what is he doing with Balaram? He's like advertising himself as a great servant of Balaram. He's carrying Balaram on his shoulders. So in one sense, he looks like a great follower of Guru. But Pralamba, or the devotees who are so-called disciples, they like to glorify their guru and show their guru bhakti, but they're not interested in Krishna. They're not very serious about their chanting of japa, and what they just want to make a big show. And that kind of worship is called Guru Giri. We make a business out of Gurudev. And so that's condemned. And we were speaking something about that. Also from Gopal Champu, with Jiva Goswami, it's actually Narad Muni speaking to Krishna. Narad Muni says there's 7 different spears in the heart. Thank you, Bhakti Pravina. And one of those spears, a king who doesn't worship Krishna, a poet who writes poetry but doesn't worship Krishna, someone has money but they don't give money to Krishna, et cetera, et cetera. The fourth one is someone who's a disciple of a guru, but they're not interested in worshiping Krishna. And that person's like a spear in the heart. So there's disciples like that, and that's something that we should be careful about. And although it looks like maybe externally they're a great disciple and they're very close to Gurudev, they're always with Gurudev. We gave the example you may have heard me give before of one trying to see how I can put this palatably. One guru who had a disciple who was causing lots of trouble for him, was a big troublemaker. And later that guru made that disciple his personal secretary. And one of his godbrothers, is an ISKCON story, one of his godbrothers said, Maharaj, why, he's a troublemaker, why did you make him your secretary? And the Maharaj's reply was, he said, well, I know he's a troublemaker, but if I keep him close to me, then I can keep my eye on him. So just physical association doesn't really mean a lot. And Prabhupada spoke about that, how the mosquito and the king. Mosquito seems very close to the king, but he's really not. Whereas Srila Prabhupada had very little association with Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, but his association was very deep and in the heart. So that's what we value, not just someone who had physical association, although honestly, if I can hear Hari Katha or Prabhupada Katha from Brahmananda Prabhu or Jamuna, or Shamasundar Prabhu or Guru Das, I feel very inspired because they had so much physical association, they had so many stories to tell. And sometimes other devotees who don't have so much physical association don't really have so much to say. But that's also a rather shallow way to look at it. My Guru Maharaj didn't have very much association with Prabhupada, but I personally find his devotion to Prabhupada to be so profound and so deep and so very inspiring. So it's a good point you're making. I'm just reflecting on your point. Anything more you want to add to that?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji. Anything from anybody else? Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and stop.
So good.
Gwanitai Prabhu, you have something?
Just very short, because I was late and I was just reading the verse. So I think that in this relationship between human beings, very quickly you can learn to use your heart, who is the other side, who is listening to you, who is not. And it's takes time when you have some conversation and you have very, you don't want to waste your time. So when you don't feel that other person is really want to give some valuable things or accepting your values, then why to continue? So it's very natural. So I don't think there's any danger. If you are just living like normal person, you will find who is interested in you seriously or genuinely, and others just want to speak, then they could have find someone else very quickly. So just be polite and then open your ears, open your heart, and you will find who want to speak, who want to have a conversation, and who just want to speak. I think it's very simple.
Very nice. It reminds me of Sanatana Goswami, who was traveling around everywhere in Braj, speaking with all the Brijbasis and listening to what seems to be their Gramya Katha, their village talk. Oh, my daughter, she's sick. My son just got married. My mother-in-law is complaining about this and that. And Sanatana Goswami loved them, and he would talk with them. Sometimes we feel like I'm such an advanced devotee that I'm not going to lower myself to speak about these mundane topics. But the same devotee, when we meet a small child, a 5-year-old child, you'll get down on the floor and play with her little toy trucks and whatever with the child. What are you doing? Do you like, are you doing that? Are we doing that because we like to play with toy trucks? No, we're doing that because we want to please that child.
Yeah.
And we understand the child is not mature enough really to have a proper discussion. But we want to make some relationship with them that'll be good. So in the same way, we can look at other persons who may have adult bodies, but they're not so mature in terms of devotion, in terms of clarity of thought. And like the child, we play a little game with them. We can also play something with them, and it deeply affects them. I would join it in San Jose, California, very close to San Francisco, and we always heard stories about Jayananda Prabhu. And one devotee mentioned how he was out on the street once, and he met a drunken bum. And the devotee was saying something about Hare Krishna, and the bum said, "I know I know that Johnny Ananda," and that's what we call Johnny Ananda. And the devotee then, he said, how's Johnny doing now? And the devotee had to tell him, well, actually, he passed away from cancer recently. And when he told that drunken bum that drunken bum started crying. He said, oh, he's the only person who loved me. He's the only person who cared for me. But Jayananda wasn't just going and just preaching to him constantly. He was being a human being, caring for them and loving them. It's a very important principle.
Yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you. It requires some maturity.
Yeah, sure.
Anybody with anything else? There's a couple of comments here. Let's look and see. Krishna Cohen says, how can we be, quote, good association inspiring for seniors or Gurudev without losing our authenticity? By being humble, by being simple. When sometimes we try to prove something to senior devotees. Yeah, Maharaj, I just memorized 3 verses from Vedanta Sutra and the Sanskrit of Baladev Vidyabhushan's commentary for one of them. And we try to impress him with that. And he may, like a small child who wants to come and impress us with something silly. Sadhu may, yes, that's very nice. Thank you. But he's not really so inspired by that. When we get something from Sadhu Guru and we offer that back to them, just like in the 4th canto of the Bhagavatam is a beautiful purport that we worship the sun with a flame, we worship the Ganga with water from the Ganga. And so in the same way, we worship Guru by sharing his own words back with him. When we, in a very humble way, when Sadhu Guru sees that we're repeating what we've heard from him, we've imbibed it, we're appreciating it, we're sharing it with other persons, then they become very, very happy. And they get inspired by that. That, oh, here's this devotee doing this thing. Because sometimes maybe they're feeling like Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he wrote in his autobiography, I've been preaching for so long, who's listening? And he felt discouraged externally. And he came to Jagannath Puri and decided to retire. What's the point of me preaching? They're not appreciating. So we have to, our service to the senior persons is to reciprocate and offer back in a very humble way, very sweet way. And they appreciate that. Is that helpful, Kund?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's helpful, but it also exists maybe. Sometimes I feel that, I am not,
I don't think anybody can hear it, but go on. She's saying sometimes I feel like
I'm I'm not so advanced that I can solve my problems. I need a spiritual master because I have problems. But I also feel that I can't go to him with my problems because I don't want to discourage him and he's already overwhelmed.
Right. So it's not that we come to Sadhu Guru, she's saying, because we have problems. But obviously, just going to him every few hours or something, Maharaj, I have a new problem. Yeah, I know I had a problem a few hours ago, but I have a new problem now. And a few hours later, I'm going to have another problem. That's not inspiring to them. But what they see that we're imbibing what they're giving us. And we're inspired by it. We're practicing it in our life. We're struggling, but we're trying to practice it in our life. We're taking shelter of it. We won't take shelter of anything else. That melts their heart. It's like that verse in Paramatma Sundarbha. Okay. Brajaraj Gopal Dasprabhu says, a question surrounding association. My definition has always been to find Swajati as Sangha, and every other association is just Krishna's mercy. But Ayendra Prabhu asks us to become the association that we want for ourselves. What does that mean? Well, unless we know something about ourselves, meaning not necessarily my swarup, that would be a nice thing to know, but knowing what I like and what I don't like, what my tastes are, what kind of Krishna Katha I like, what kind of kirtan I like. Unless I have some clear understanding of that, then what am I going to look for in association? So we should become the association that we want for ourselves. When we see, I like this kind of Krishna Katha, I like this kind of artwork, I like this kind of kirtan, and we really focus on that in our life, then other people see that and people who are interested in that and they want to come. So we become the association that we want for ourselves. That's my humble understanding of it. Yeah, Leela Purushottam comments too. What comes to my mind hearing from a few spiritual masters with that you're always pleased with sincere, honest, thoughtful questions. Right? There's a verse in the 11th canto of the Bhagavatam that the offering that I give to my guru is sincere inquiry. That's what's the most pleasing to them. All right. Leela Purushottam, you want to add something to that? And then Gauri Thai Prabhu?
It just was coming to my mind, reflection on Brajaraj Gopal Prabhu, quote from Indra Prabhu, that it could be, because I know Indra Prabhu, I remember him like always trying.
Can't hear you.
Yeah, I just received
Okay.
the SMS. So,
She said last I heard was you remember Ayendra, and then it went off.
Indra Prabhu always trying to increase that impetus or give that impetus for how I don't want to use the wrong word, but like self-improvement, meaning like don't be a cheap preacher, but like if I would interpret that quote like be the sangha that you desire for, meaning like first be concerned about your sincerity, about your attitude, about your quality, integrity, and then you will attract the proper sangha.
Yeah. Yeah. Same thing. That's what I understood.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Gauri Thai Prabhu, you want to share something?
Yeah, I would like to ask you that seeing this Prema-bhakti-candrika, how is going on? It's already we are very in high level of topics, means sadhu sangha and praying for the Sakhi's mercy. So it looks like strange that the author comes back to this mundane topic and thinking that maybe someone who is already in that level still have in dangerous situation when he met with some person. So can you explain that? Did you see that situation when devotee who already have some sneha or prema or not prema but means some attraction, and then they fall down because of they were not careful
Well, the example in the Bhagavatam is Bharat Maharaj. He got attached to a deer, And so we have to be careful, even we may be a very, very advanced devotee. And there's another example which we spoke about in our magazine on Vaishnava Aparad of another Vaishnav who was on the platform above, but he started making offenses, and because of those offenses, he fell down from that. So we had to be careful. So I could look at this, to go back to your point, I could look at in question, it's a good, very good question. Why is Narottam Das Thakur doing this? What is his purpose? That's always an important question. So one thing could be that maybe he wants to warn us that we should be careful and not be like Bharat Maharaj. But a second point I think is that this book, he wrote this for everyone. And he understood that new devotees are also going to be reading this. Now, that may be controversial, because if Narottam Das Thakur joined ISKCON, we might tell him, look, you're not allowed to preach like that. You know, we're not going to distribute your book or something because it's too elevated. But it's a different culture, it's a different climate, it's a different group of people that he was speaking to. Srila Prabhupada stressed certain things because we were preaching to brand new people. But these are topics which are there for everyone, that we can, this is what I should be looking forward to. And at this point, reading in Prema-bhakti-candrika, we can think, oh yeah, he already spoke previously about giving asat sangha tyag, we should give up asat sangha, but now he's stressing it even more, even after all this high stuff, which kind of brings me back down to the ground. Because maybe I start thinking, yeah, I'm reading Prema-bhakti-candrika and I'm really, I'm a high Raganuga Bhakta or something. And now he's saying such a basic, important thing. That would be my reflection. Do you have any other thoughts, Gwanitai?
I have two thoughts. One is that I heard just Shri Hariprasad Prabhu mentioned that when these great souls, acharyas, criticizing some situation or some persons, they are not really criticizing them, but they are glorifying the opposite one, the spiritual level, with the good association. So in this way, mentioning the negative association, they actually drawing the intention to the positive side.
Yeah,
So that is how they are thinking. That's one way which he told. Another way which I'm thinking, that this kind of persons like Narottam Das Thakur, sometimes they enter into samadhi, enter into their siddha deha, and then that siddha deha, they have experience of the spiritual world, and when they come back, they are writing about that experience, and that's why they are praising Radha Krishna and the association. But sometimes they just forced to come back to their material sadhaka deha, and in that sadhaka deha, they are aware, oh, why I came back? Maybe I made some mistake, and that's they wrote down again to make sure that someone is on that stage when not always in samadhi, but sometimes come back, have to be very careful not to make mistake, not to have, as you told, not to have any attraction to this kind of groups, this kind of association. So they are writing these two things in sadhaka deha and siddha deha. I mean.
Very good. Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji. So I'm going to go ahead and stop unless anybody else has something burning up. I got to prepare some katha for tomorrow, and we're getting ready for going to Czech, and we'll see a few of you there. And then we're going back pretty soon to India, and I'll be in Mayapur for Kartik, first part of Kartik. Maybe I get to see you there, Gwanitai, but we'll be with Indra Maharaj's group for first part of Kartik. Okay. Orsi, you have something you want to shout out real quick?
Just a technical question, that these morning kathas, is there any link where they are streaming? Because somehow it was forgotten.
They've been videoing them or linking them every day. Let me send everybody a link to, I haven't, they told me that they've been recording them. I haven't asked for a link to all the classes recently, but they gave me a link to their YouTube page. So maybe you'll find it there, or maybe even live streaming tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock time here in Latvia. And we'll be starting again. Okay, so we'll see everybody soon. Hare Krishna. Srila Narottam Das Thakur ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Samaveda Bhakta Binda ki, Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol, Vancha Kalpatarubhischa, Kripa Sindhu
Sindhu Vyaiva Chapatitam Pavanabhyo